Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the Town of Chaplin, I would like to welcome you all for attending this public informational meeting for State Project number 24-91, replacement of bridge number 04603, located on England Road over Natchaug River. My name is Preeti Bardwaj, and I am the project manager assigned to this project. We appreciate your willingness to participate in this forum virtually, and we hope that you will find this meeting both interesting and informative. I would now like to go over some of the goals and format for tonight's meeting. I will be explaining how you will be able to interact with the project team. I will be explaining how this project is funded under the Federal Local Bridge DMS, or Design Managed by the State program. We will then be having some welcoming remarks from the Town of Chaplin. I will then be introducing the project design team, and that includes the department's front office leadership, the department's design team, and our consultant liaison engineer team. This will then be followed with a technical presentation of the design, which will include the condition of the existing structure, purpose and need for the project, and the recommended design solution, which has progressed to 30% design completion. As part of the department's public outreach program, it is at this point now that we are reaching out to you, the public, while it is still early in the design process, to receive any comments and concerns and answer any questions that you may have. We also have a DOT representative to explain the rights-of-way process. And lastly, we will have a live question and answer session. I will now explain how you will be able to interact with the project team. There are three means of how you will be able to communicate. The first is by email, which is dot-flbp@ct.gov. And I will also spell that out. It is dot-flbp@ct.gov. You can also phone in, and the phone number is 860-944-1111. And again, that phone number is 860-944-1111. You can also use the chat function on the MS Teams live event chat. Here you can ask a question by clicking on the little question mark which shows Q&A. This will bring up your live Q&A field. Select the Ask a Question button at the bottom right screen and a field will pop up. And you can type your question and hit either Enter with a little arrow button to send. You can also check the button on the bottom to post the question anonymously if you prefer. There will be a slight delay, but eventually your question will appear in the featured section with all other questions asked tonight. The project email, phone, and chat will be screened by the project teams during the Q&A session, and the questions asked by any of these methods will be posted to the MS Teams Q&A chat window. The questions will be asked out loud by the project team to answer. You can ask questions at any time during the presentation, but we will answer during the live Q&A session that follows. We also have a project webpage link where the recording of tonight's entire presentation, including the Q&A session, is stored. The webpage will also contain the same information that I have previously explained on how to provide comments and ask questions. And that project webpage link is portal.ct.gov/projects/0024-0091-Chaplin. Again, I will spell that out. It is portal.ct.gov/dot/projects/0024 0091-0091-CHAPLIN. And lastly, please remember you will have until April 13th, 2022 to ask any additional questions or comments. So if you think of any other questions or comments after tonight's meeting, you will have until April 13th to do so. We would greatly appreciate it if you would fill out a brief survey the department has shown on the link below. This will help us improve these meetings going forward. Both the links to the survey and civil rights flyer are located on the previously mentioned project webpage. I would also like to state, as part of the Title VI Civil Rights Act, that no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. I will now explain how this project is being funded. This is a town-owned bridge and is being funded under the department's federal local bridge program. Traditionally in this program, the town selects a designer, and because federal funds are involved, the department is considered to be stewards of those federal funds. The funding is traditionally 80% federal and 20% town for the design, rights-of-way, and construction phases of the project. However, this project is funded under the department's DMS, or Design Managed by the State program. In this program, it will be the department who will be performing the design on behalf of the municipality, utilizing our consultant liaison engineers, who are Close Jensen and Miller. CJM has completed the 30% preliminary design, and it will be brought to final design completion by one of our pre-selected task-based designers. In addition, it will now be funded with 80% federal and 20% state funds for the design phase only, so the entire design phase is at zero cost to the town of Chaplin. Although the preliminary design was performed by the department, it was in full coordination with the town of Chaplin. We held several meetings and worked diligently together to incorporate the town's comments and concerns. The initiative behind the DMS program was to expedite design delivery and bring these projects to construction quicker and keep our municipal bridges in a state of good repair. The DMS program is utilizing your state and municipal dollars both efficiently and effectively. And with that, I would now like to hand it over to the town of Chaplin, who has some welcoming remarks.
Good evening. This is Juan Roman, and I'm Chaplin's first selectman. The town of Chaplin is excited to have partnered with the Department of Transportation and the engineering firm of Cole, Jensen, and Miller on the federal local bridge program designed managed by state for the England Road Bridge replacement. Thank you and enjoy the presentation.
I would now like to introduce the project team. I am Preeti Bardwaj, project manager. To my left are Mr. Bart Sweeney, Division Chief of Bridges, and Mr. Lou Baccio, Principal Engineer. To my right is Mr. James Barrows, Project Engineer. We also have Mr. Dennis McDonald, our Rights-of-Way Coordinator. The consultant liaison engineers are Close Jensen and Miller, and from CJM we have Mr. Mike Brady, Project Manager, and Mr. Chris Zabidio, Project Engineer. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost ready to present our technical portion of the presentation, and you will be hearing a lot of bridge lingo throughout the presentation. Therefore, I am about to give you a 2-minute crash course on some of the structural components on a bridge and the numerical condition rating system assigned on a bridge. On the diagram shown, the deck is the riding surface of the bridge. The parapets, or sometimes bridges can also have an open rail system, help prevent errant vehicles from going off the bridge. The beams, or the girders, are the supporting structural elements on a bridge and are designed to support vehicular loads, the self-weight of the bridge, and also any environmental loads, such as wind, seismic, etc. The parapets, the deck, and the beams make up what is known as the superstructure on a bridge. The abutments and wing walls are the end supports on the bridge, and the piers, if there are any, are the intermediate supports. The abutments, wing walls, and piers make up what is known as the substructure on a bridge. The substructure not only supports the superstructure, but also helps in transmitting loads from the superstructure down to the bridge foundations. All state bridges and town bridges over 20 feet in length are inspected every 2 years by the Department's Bridge Safety and Evaluation Unit and are assigned a condition rating on the major structural elements on a scale of 1 through 9. 9 is excellent condition and 1 is imminent failure condition. When a major bridge element reaches a 4, or poor condition, that is when we start to initiate a project to address these structural deficiencies. We will now go over some terminology explaining the deterioration on a bridge, and after that, Mr. Chris Sabidio from Close Jensen and Miller will go over the technical portion of the presentation.
Thank you. I am James Barrows with the Connecticut Department of Transportation, and I would like to quickly go over some terminology that you may hear during the presentation to describe concrete deterioration. The first term is efflorescence. You can see from the picture on the top left, this white mineral buildup on the surface of the concrete. This is due to water entering into the small voids within the concrete, and as it evaporates, it leaves that salt deposit, which has that white appearance. In the top middle, we have honeycombing. For those of you that don't know, concrete is primarily made up of 3 components. You have your coarse aggregate, which includes rocks and stones. You have a finer material, which is your sand and cementous material, and then you have water. Typically, your cementous material fills the voids, the small voids within all the coarse aggregate. For honeycombing, that finer material isn't able to make it into all the voids, leaving air pockets within the concrete and just the coarse material, which you can see here. On the top right, we have scaling. Scaling is the loss of surface mortar within the concrete. This is normally due to environmental factors like water getting within the voids and during the freeze-thaw cycle, expanding and popping off that surface layer of mortar. In the bottom left, we have map cracking. This is sometimes referred to as pattern cracking or alligator cracking. This cracking occurs due to poor concrete curing and handling. And on the bottom right, we have spalling. Spalling is due to water getting within the voids of the concrete and causing deterioration and rust on the rebar. As the rebar starts to rust, it expands, and since there is nowhere to go, it pops the concrete off of the rebar, leaving just the exposed rebar and concrete within the middle area. And that covers the terminology that you will hear for concrete deterioration. Next up, we'll be going into the technical portion of this presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. This project is bridge number 04603, England Road over Natchaug River in Chaplin, located approximately 0.2 miles east of Route 198 and is classified a rural local road.
As we can see in the aerial photo, this is a heavily wooded rural residential area. Existing conditions. This bridge was built around 1900 and was rehabilitated in 1971. It is made of reinforced concrete box beams with masonry stone abutments and wing walls. It is 71 feet long with 20-foot 1-inch curb-to-curb width and serves 390 vehicles per day and does not have sidewalks. Utility conditions. All utilities are overhead. They span the structure on the south, the downstream side. There is a drainage pipe outlet near the northwest wing wall. There are no underground utilities spanning the structure. The deck is in satisfactory condition, rated a 6 with typical cracking. random transverse diagonal longitudinal cracks. The approaches exhibit the same moderate wear and cracking. The approach rating is 6, satisfactory condition. Superstructure condition is 6, satisfactory. Box beams exhibit areas of light scale and honeycombing, areas of heavy efflorescence and stalactites, and heavy leakage between the box beams. There is also a few areas of spalling exposing the reinforcing steel, and the beams are vertically misaligned. Efflorescence is an indicator of how much water is leaking through the bridge deck and if the waterproofing to protect the concrete needs to be repaired. These are additional photos of the superstructure showing the efflorescence, the leakage, and misalignment of the longitudinal joints. Continuing on with the substructure, rated 6, satisfactory, the stone abutments are missing grout and some stones, and the footings are exposed, exhibiting moderate scale along the waterline. Channel and scour conditions. Channel rates 6, satisfactory. However, scour rates are 3, scour critical. Scour critical means that a severe storm can erode below the abutment footings, possibly collapsing the structure, and the reason for replacement. The channel is relatively narrow for the volume of water conveyed during such a storm, but is otherwise stable. This is the proposed elevation view. We are proposing a steel truss bridge, shown in red, to maintain the existing road profile. We have lengthened the structure by over 40 feet. Structure types similar to the existing would require raising the road by over 2 feet to meet permitting requirements for passing the 100-year storm. This prevents upstream flooding by allowing more water to pass beneath the bridge. The truss and bridge deck are supported on a concrete abutment system, shown in orange, that are founded on piles drilled into bedrock, shown as brown, that will protect the structure from scour, our primary concern here. The bridge will also have concrete end blocks, shown in magenta, to provide a transition from the guide rail system to the bridge rail system, shown in yellow. These photos are of 2 recent local bridge projects. The one on the left is similar to our proposed bridge here. The other is a historic bridge that was reconstructed in Canton, shown as an example of a truss. In the photo on the left, you can see the bridge rail system and the end blocks discussed earlier. Here's the proposed plan view. A plan view is an overhead view of the project. This one shows the river in blue, the bridge and approaches in orange, the reconstructed road in yellow, and the bridge rail in magenta. The green line is an existing storm drain that will be at least partially rebuilt. We are replacing the bridge in its current location with a longer span, reconstructing the road about 50 feet each side beyond the approaches, adding crash-tested rail system on both the bridge and each end, as well as repairing the access to the pull-off access to the river. This is the cross-section view of both the existing bridge on the right and the proposed on the left. The cross-section view shows what the bridge looks like if you cut it in half across the width. The existing view shows the concrete box beams in orange, the bridge rails in yellow, and the bituminous overlay in gray. The proposed shows the truss in red, rails in yellow, the concrete shear slab in gray, and the bituminous overlay in black. The existing bridge is 21 feet wide, and we are proposing a 28-foot curb-to-curb width to match the approach roadway, which will improve vehicle safety. The new roadway is comprised of 12-foot travel lanes, 1 in each direction, and 2-foot shoulders. This will also provide a safer pedestrian walkway. This is the profile view. A profile is like a cross-section, except it shows the road cut through the long way. As you can see here, we are holding the road surface very close to what's there now. The proposed bridge is shown in orange. Detour. The roadway in the vicinity of the project will be closed to allow a shorter construction period, and traffic will be detoured onto state and local roads. The duration will be approximately 6 to 8 months. The detour will be coordinated with emergency services and the school system. This is the right-of-way plan. It shows temporary easements and 2 small permanent takes. These are required for construction activities. Easements are shown as green and takes as cyan. The takes are for bridge elements outside of the right-of-way. The right-of-way line is shown as a red dashed line. And we anticipate 3 permits for this project. The first will be your local inland wetlands permit that we will present to the Chaplin Inland Wetlands Board. And we will obtain an Army Corps of Engineers permit that will be specifically determined during final design. And we anticipate a flood management certification through the DOT. The anticipated schedule is construction duration of approximately 8 months, anticipating starting in spring of 2024. It is an 80% federal funds, 20% municipal funds. Estimated cost is $3,920,000. The municipality share is $784,000.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis McDonald, and I'm a representative from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Division of Rights-of-Way. I'm just going to provide a brief overview of the right-of-way process. So the function of the Division of Rights-of-Way is to acquire all property and property rights necessary for the project. This is done in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Section 13A73, 13A90AE, and the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Your typical right-of-way impacts include partial acquisitions, easements, and rights. Impacts are subject to change as the design progresses, but this gives a general idea of typical property impacts. Once property impacts have been established, each impacted property owner will receive a letter of intent to acquire along with a property acquisition map. The letter essentially initiates the right-of-way process, and the map provides a detailed overview of the specific right-of-way impacts. Soon after the letter is received, evaluation process will take place, and once a value has been established, each impacted property owner will receive a written offer of compensation. Property owners will be given time to consider the offer and negotiate should they wish. If an agreement is reached, an acceptance document will be signed, and a closing will take place at a later date. If an agreement is not reached for whatever reason, the state will utilize its power of eminent domain and acquire the property rights through the condemnation process. Now, I understand this has a negative connotation, but many times this is done to keep a project on schedule. If the state elects to pursue eminent domain, the original offer is deposited in the court system, and property owners can continue negotiations or file a formal appeal for a reassessment of damages through the court system. Please note all appeals must be filed within 6 months from the date in which the state files for eminent domain. And that is all I have for tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dennis, and that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our technical portion of the presentation. I would like to thank everyone on my design team and everyone behind the scenes who helped put this live event together. We are going to leave the question and answer session information on the screen for your benefit, and we will be answering any questions that came in during the presentation and answer any questions that will come in during this live Q&A session. Once again, we would like to remind everyone to please visit the project webpage to participate in the survey pertaining to tonight's event, or ask additional questions, or view project plans and information. For those of you listening on the phone, the project webpage is again portal.ct.gov/dot/projects/0024-0091-Chaplin. So with that, we are now going to start the live question and answer session. We will take as many questions as we can. Feel free to use that chat feature or call in by phone. The number is again 860-944-1111, or by email. The address is again dot-flbp@ct.gov. And please remember that the comment period is again April 13th, 2022.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending. My name is Mark Burns. I'm one of the project engineers in the Federal Local Bridge Program. I will be handling the live Q&A event this evening. I would just like to start off by asking once again, if possible, everyone could fill out the survey off of survey123 at arcgis.com. The link is in the live Q&A event. And I will ask the first question which came in, which is, can stage construction be used instead? Chris or Mike Brady from CJM, could you please answer?
Yes, this is Chris. In short, stage construction could be utilized, but stage construction is not practical at this site due to proposed structure type. In order to keep traffic moving through the area while the new structure is being built would require a temporary bridge, and this would ultimately increase the cost of the project, increase the total environmental impacts that we've been trying to avoid, and would ultimately take 2 construction seasons, possibly 3, to complete.
Okay, thank you. The next question that came in is, what color will the bridge rail be? Chris, if you could please answer that.
Absolutely. We discussed this with the town early on in the project, and we are looking to do a natural color. Let's see. We discussed this with during the preliminary design, and just a natural color to blend into the surrounding area is what we were looking for here.
Okay, great, thank you. The next question that was asked is, will mail delivery be impacted, and how will EMS be coordinated? CJM or the town, if you would like to answer this.
This is Chris again. Mail will not be impacted. There are no driveways being closed for the project. EMS as well as school bus routes will be coordinated with the appropriate town staff.
Great, thank you. We have another question. Has the town funded their share of the construction costs? Town of Chaplin, if you would be able to answer that one, please.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Brady from Close, Jensen and Miller. Just so everybody understands, there are multiple estimates that are submitted to the town during the design phase to keep them apprised of what the current cost of the project is going to be. Currently, we are at the preliminary design stage, and we have submitted that preliminary estimate, which was reflected in today's presentation. As we progress through final design, there will be approximately 3 more estimates that will be submitted to the town so that they will be able to appropriate the appropriate amount of funds as we progress through final design. So right now, since we've had discussions with the town, they are on track to have the funds appropriated for this project, and they will appropriate more or less as we get a more definitive estimate to them.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. We will leave the chat open for a few more minutes. If there are any other questions or comments. And once again, thank you for attending. We would appreciate if you could fill out the survey. And the comment period is open through April 13th via email or telephone. The MS Teams chat function is only available during live Q&A. The presentation will also be available on YouTube to review later. Oh, we have another question that's come in, which is, how many properties do you expect will be affected? CJM, if you wouldn't mind answering that one.
Sure, this is Chris again. There are 4 immediately adjoining properties that would be affected. The obvious quadrants, one portion of which is, I understand, is a town-owned parcel where the access to the river is the little gravel pull-off to the northeast corner. The others are privately held.
Thank you, Chris. We just received a chat from the town regarding the funding, and the first selectman, Mr. Juan Roman, stated he's looking to fund the project via capital improvement funds. They have some funds available in their capital improvement budget and are working with the Board of Finance to obtain the funding necessary. Another question's come in. What properties are, oh, sorry, I'll skip one. When is construction anticipated to start, and how long will construction take? CJM, if you could please answer that.
Yes, Chris again. Anticipate spring of 2024 and a construction duration of 6 to 8 months.
Great. And a question has come in from Jim. What properties are subject to the right of way? Chris and possibly Dennis McDonald from the Office of Rights of Way, if you would like to take that question.
Well, all right, this is Chris again. If I understand the question, we're asking, I believe he's asking which ones are subject to taking. There's two small parts of the wing walls that will exceed the right of way. And yeah, there we go, that photo there. So the southwest side, the Ridgeway property, and the northeast side, the town-owned property, or possibly the Hool property. I believe that's on the town's little triangle there. I hope this is the question you want answered. If it's not, please resubmit your question and we'll see if I can do a better job.
Yeah, and this is Dennis McDonald from DOT Rights of Way. And the area shown in green there, just to reiterate, are construction easements. And construction easements are temporary in nature. The state will acquire the easement for the duration of the project, and once the project's complete, the easements will be extinguished.
Great. Thank you, Chris and Dennis. We'll keep the chat open for a few more minutes. We have several questions. Thank you. We have another question from Jim. Why can't we use precast beams and no steel skeleton? CJM?
Okay, Chris again. The reason we went with the truss is the alternates that would work on a structure this long raise the road by over 2 feet, which is a tremendous burden hydraulically, environmentally, and a few other aspects to that we probably don't want to get into, such as permitting through FEMA and such. In order to get a bridge to cross this span and meet the hydraulic requirements without raising the road, we needed something with a thinner cross section, which brings us to the truss solution. That gives us the shallowest depth of road cross section in order to cross this exaggerated, I shouldn't say exaggerated, lengthened hydraulic opening.
Great. Thank you. Another question from Jim. Will there be a sidewalk on the downriver side? Chris, if you could take a look.
Yep. Chris again. We had a conversation with the town about sidewalks. Sidewalks are not in the plan of conservation development for this area, so we did not include sidewalks. We did widen the bridge substantially so that the pedestrian safety was a consideration, but no formal sidewalks, just shoulders and wider travel lanes.
Great, thank you. Question came in from Anonymous. Will there still be access to the river, kayaks, fishing, etc.?
Chris again, absolutely.
Great. Another question from Jim. What class bridge is it? Class 40 or greater? Jim, if you could expand on that, are you referring to the load carrying capacity of the bridge, or are you referring to something different, the steel weight? If you could possibly elaborate in the chat. While we're waiting on that, another question came in from Dick. When does the town need to have the funds by? CJM, if you'd like to answer that.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Brady again. Funds will need to be ready to spend by the time this project has been advertised and ready to award. At that time, the contractor will start moving on his submittals and procuring materials, and that's the time when cash flow will essentially initiate. So approximately spring 2024 is when the town will need to have those funds appropriated.
Great, thank you, Mike. We'll keep the chat open for a few more minutes. I think we might have some more questions coming in. Okay, the question was clarified from Jim. What is the weight classification? Okay, CJM, if you could please answer that.
Mike, you want to field that one?
Sure, Chris. So I'm assuming that this is going to be dependent on the vehicles and the weight that it'll be able to handle. The new truss will be rated for an HL93, so that will be able to handle any kind of heavy, large trucks that it may see, including any kind of fire trucks, oil delivery trucks. And obviously it will be able to handle any kind of normal traffic weight as well.
Thank you, Mike. Will this bridge also be able to handle permit loads too?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we'll keep the chat open for a few more minutes. Thank you everyone for your questions. If you have a question that comes to mind later, the comment period is still open through April 13th via email or phone, and we'll be checking that. And we're always available through the DOT FLBP email to address any questions. And if there's any questions asked to the town, we're in contact with the town officials as well to answer any questions. Okay, a question from Dave. Is the proposed span between wing walls increasing as much as the deck span is increasing? CJM?
Chris again. Well, the span that I referred to earlier, the 104 clear span, is face of abutment to face of abutment. So technically the deck is a little bit longer, but that wasn't our big concern as far as trying to maintain the hydraulic opening. The overall length of the structure is something in the neighborhood of 113, if I remember right. So you have some structural members that are embedded into the abutments and the approaches and that sort of thing. I hope that's the question. I hope that answers the question you're asking.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Oh, I see chat coming from Juan. Maybe just to elaborate a little bit, we specified an HL93 loading. Maybe we can, Mike or Chris, if you could get into how many tons that is on an HL93.
Yeah, Mark, I'll have to look up the specific amounts to that. I don't know that off the top of my head, but like I said, it will be able to handle any kind of heavy traffic or vehicular loads that would include any kind of permit.
Thank you, Mike.
I can provide that tonnage at a later time.
Thank you, Mike. Question came in from Leslie. What unexpected things could occur to delay construction? CJM?
I'll take this one, Chris.
Okay.
For the most part, we like to set these projects up so that they advertise during the fall and are awarded over the winter, meaning sometime in December, which gives us a few months to coordinate with the contractor and allow them to procure all their materials and get all their submittals approved prior to the start of construction, which is typically that April 1st date. If all goes well, there shouldn't be any kind of anticipated delays. But with the construction project, there are some, especially working over water, there are some unforeseen conditions that could happen. We could have a very wet season that could cause very high water conditions during what we consider our low flow season during the summer, where the river's not as high. That could affect how we handle the water around the existing structures. But for the most part, we do not anticipate that to be an issue. Sometimes there could be an issue with procuring materials as far as maybe steel. That's something we have seen in the past, but we aren't concerned with it at this time, as this project is still scheduled to be 2 years out prior to starting.
Great, thank you, Mike. Another question came in. Will the new construction address rain runoff from the hill?
Chris again. I'm not personally aware of the rain runoff from the hill. This river is a fairly steep channel, if I recall from my site visits. So it's really not addressing the adjoining property owner's runoff, really. It's more of improve the bridge and prevent problems caused by water backing up as a result of inadequate hydrology, not so much runoff from the adjoining properties.
This is Mike Brady here. I'd also like to add that in this visual, you can see where we will be working on the roadway in a general sense. Any roadway improvements along that area will have an appropriate normal crown and will be sloped appropriately so that there won't be any low points on the road. to catch water in the vicinity of the bridge project that we're working on. So in the short answer, yes, it will address any rain runoff in the vicinity of the bridge that you guys may currently witness as a ponding condition or anything that can cause a treacherous situation during any kind of snow melt condition or any kind of heavy rain condition.
Great, thank you, Mike. Question has come in from Guy. Will there be any penalties for construction overtime? Mike or Chris?
Yeah, this is Mike Brady here. Yes, when we develop the contract that will be advertised for this project, there will be liquidated damages stated clearly in the contract. The contractor will be notified of how many calendar days they have to complete the project. And if the contractor is still on site working on the job past that determined amount of calendar days, liquidated damages will be applied.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Okay, we are going to leave the chat open for a few more minutes if any other questions come in. Again, thank you all for attending. The email and phone information is shown on the slide, as well as the link to the survey, if you would please fill that out. Okay, I have another question. Oh, it's from Leslie. Where will the building materials be stockpiled?
All right, it's Chris again. We expect for the contractor to stage most of his equipment and materials on the west approach to the bridge because we have a longer run from that area to the next adjoining driveway. The only things we anticipate working from on the east side of the bridge would be a crane pad for when the truss gets moved into position. And mostly because there is a driveway fairly close proximity to that work area. It's the little gray stub you see in that proposed plan view on the right end. So we're primarily staging on the west side of the bridge.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. So I think with that, we can close the live Q&A. Once again, thank you all for attending and asking the questions. This was very helpful for us to further our design. If you have any further questions, the contact information is shown above, or you can contact the town and they can relay any questions to us. Once again, thank you very much for attending our public information meeting and have a pleasant evening.
Mark, really quickly, we just got one more question.
Oh, okay, all right, we'll answer that one really quick. Thank you.
I forgot I was still muted.
Okay. Okay, question from Jim. If the bridge already has precast beam, why can't this be used?
I'll take this one. This is Mike Brady. The current span is a lot shorter than the proposed span. We're not saying that we can't use a precast beam, but if we do use that, we ultimately have to use a much thicker precast beam than what is out there today. And what happens there is that affects the roadway profile that we were showing earlier. Right now, we're currently matching what the roadway does out there. If we go with a precast beam superstructure, we're going to thicken that superstructure by approximately 2 feet in order to meet that over 100-foot clear span. With raising that roadway about 2 feet, you introduce a lot of fill into the floodplain, which touches on what Chris was speaking about earlier with a larger quantified square footage of environmental impacts that will occur. And additionally, we will more than likely have to delay the project due to a much more rigorous permitting effort to get this project ready to go.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for your questions. I think we've received all of them. Once again, thank you for attending. If you have any additional questions, you can use the contact email and phone number or reach out to the town. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.